Spring is traverse season. Days are longer, temperatures are warmer, avalanches can be a bit more predictable. After spending springtime in the last 10 years with some short and some long tours in the Rockies, it felt like time to head to a different range. Myself, along with two brothers from Jasper, Josh and Zach, headed west into the unknown, at least to us, wilds of the Caribou Mountains. Cariboos are the northernmost of the Columbia Ranges. They're known for deep snowpacks, extensive glaciation, and many different types of user groups. People from skiers to snowmobilers, heli skiers to hunters. Many people flock to the Cariboos, and I was curious to see what draws them.
My name is Josh, and I'm 27. I am from Jasper, Alberta.
Have you, prior to this trip, done any ski touring in the Cariboos?
I've only ever been to the Cariboos once before.
I'm Zach. First time I ever been to the Cariboos.
Unlike previous trips I've done, this time would be cheating a bit. Friends Noah, Jeremy, and Noah's dad Tony gave us a snowmobile tow, cutting off a solid day of logging road slogging.
It was awesome. In some ways it felt like I was cheating compared to that Great Divide trip. It's wicked, it was just out of nowhere, we're just going super fast.
Much of the Cariboos is accessible to snowmobiles, and I kind of wonder how sledders perceive these spaces compared to those traveling on foot. Leaving the logging road, we worked our way to the middle of the Cariboos, passing through the concerningly named Avalanche Valley to our first campsite on the edge of the forest east of Caribou Pass. One of the first things you notice about the Cariboos compared to the Rockies is tree spacing. So much more terrain, tree line below, just works well for skiing. Back in the Rockies, we have so much dense lodgepole pine that you might have less avi concerns, a lot more thrashing through dense forest.
Burner.
Once we crossed onto Roberts Glacier, we were pretty much following the spine of the Cariboos, following ice and snow until hitting Azure Pass, 60 kilometers to the southeast.
The snowmobile tracks on the glacier were kind of weird. Like, I didn't really think that was something I was gonna see out there. Like, I guess it's something people do, but I just didn't know about it. And that seems kind of strange that people would want to go skidoo around on a glacier. I mean, it's a pretty sensitive part of the landscape, and they're kind of sacred when you consider it's where all our fresh water comes from.
It's pretty wild to think that you're able to do that here. You just get so used to, like here in the national parks, you get so used to kind of thinking the backcountry is just for you as a skier. It makes you think, you know? It definitely takes away what you would consider wilderness when you can envision just a bunch of dudes like ripping up their own snowmobiles in a day. It's like, well, okay.
It was pretty windy. Wanted to stay in the little hole we dug. It was just a spectacular view, and just knowing you're gonna have to go up that slope you're camping beside was pretty cool.
It's kind of serious. Like, it's not really great ski touring terrain, so to speak. I mean, there's a lot of really good ski touring terrain around there, but a lot of times we had our skis on our packs, and you're kind of wondering, like, what am I doing right now? It's definitely a challenging traverse.
That was pretty rough. It just seemed to take forever to go up, and getting down the other side was much more difficult than I guess we figured it would be.
After the first 3 days, you kind of get into more of a groove. The Niagara Valley really helped with that. It was one of the only valleys we came across that has never been logged, and there's a lot more wildlife. We were generally following wolf tracks for navigation and just enjoying the sun while it lasted. Some of the maps around the outskirts of the Niagara Glacier were a little bit off. What was on the map supposed to be a 20-degree gentle ski down turned out to be 200 meters of vertical, top of the 45-degree down climb, which is a little bit sporty and flat light. That being said, that is part of the allure of these type of trips though, not really knowing what you're going to come up against next. Getting to the northeast part of the Quanstrom ice field was a good milestone. It was the first of our flown-in food caches. These caches also kind of felt like cheating compared to previous trips. I think Josh even packed a whole cake in his stash for that cache, which cake for dinner is pretty fancy when you're hanging out on the glacier. Not to mention 4 or 5 dinner beers. It's a pretty decent nightcap. We were definitely packing on the heavier side. We were definitely comfy.
I don't really give a shit about what traverses I've done or haven't done. I'm kind of just out there to have fun. And that's a big part of it. I mean, going through some of these areas, you'll never get another chance to go back. So having time to actually enjoy it is a big part of it for me.
Being in the Cariboos for a little over a week does hit you how different they are from the Rockies. We were camped about 1,900 meters, and across the valley off Mount Goodall we could see massive seracs that were calving off randomly throughout the evening. And you just don't see glaciers that are that low and that thick in the Rockies often. The Cariboos get so much more precipitation that their glaciers have managed to stick around and stay thicker. What are your thoughts on fast and light versus kind of heavy and steady?
I guess I prefer heavy and steady because I'm lazy, and it gives me an excuse to be lazy. When your pack's so heavy, you don't, have to go so fast. You can be like, oh, my pack's so heavy, I can't go fast. Fast and light, it's like you're cold and you're going fast, and going fast sucks. I like to just kind of plug away at it a little bit every day.
I guess there's a time and a place for both. Fast and light, I think, is a little more conducive to trips that maybe take less than a week or so. When you start to get past 7 to 10 days, I think that approach is maybe a little less feasible longer trips, say 2 weeks or more, I think it's probably more realistic to plan on having more in your backpack, more weight in your backpack than what you'd like to have. But I mean, that translates into being prepared for poor weather or poor conditions and things that happen.
We started seeing red flags up in odd places and couldn't really decide what they were until it dawned on us that we're in heli skiing country. To myself, I don't really mind sharing the space with heli skiing, especially when we don't actually see the groups directly. And it's supporting an industry that doesn't really revolve around resource extraction, which in these part of the mountains is somewhat rare. It is kind of odd though, as on the map we're further from a road. In many places you might do a ski traverse in the Rockies, but you might see 3 or 4 helicopters a day coming by. So it makes it feel like you're not that far away from civilization, even though you might be for all intents and purposes. It does make you kind of wonder what heli skiing guests are appreciating about the landscape. When you kind of just fly in quickly and fly out, are you just there for the skiing? Do you really appreciate the mountains in the same way that travelers on foot do? Are any of us really meant to be out there more than other groups? You found any challenges skiing with a big pack?
Yeah, I couldn't get my sweet turns in so much. But it's all right, you know, when you consider what you're doing. You're out in these pretty spectacular places. And you kind of forget that you're wearing a pack sometimes, even if it's killing your legs.
When we were closing in on Azure Pass, we were starting to get weather forecasts that showed a lot of snow coming. This was not the greatest timing too, as this section had some of the more interesting route finding, which is painfully slow to do in a whiteout. There was one section where on the map we were traversing a wide rocky bench. Josh was skiing on ahead, then all of a sudden comes across a big block of glacial ice, which is a bit concerning when you can barely see 10 feet in front of you, and you're not supposed to be bordering a glacier. But one of the highlights we planned to have on the whole trip was getting to Azure Pass. This was one of those special moments that you don't really have to talk to each other to know what your friends are thinking. The sea of peaks, breath of wind, and just silence. That's something that sticks with you and can be kind of hard to describe to people who weren't part of that experience.
Look at these slopes. Fuck those.
And I think that the effort you took to get to that place and the time it took makes you appreciate it even more.
It was a pretty cool spot to just chill out for a few days though. Like, it's kind of one of those places I don't know if I'll ever go back to.
We knew there was still bad weather coming in. Some of the models were saying up to 90 centimeters of snow in the next week, and that didn't really bode well for finishing the trip through the Premier Range, which is very steep, crevassed, and avalanche prone. But being kind of stubborn dudes, we decided just to wait it out a couple days at Azure Pass and see if the forecasts improved, and they did not.
I think we had all kind of accepted that we wouldn't be able to finish the way we wanted to. That terrain is some of the most complex terrain you could ever really move through with an overnight pack. We knew setting off that we would need pretty ideal conditions to do that.
It definitely looked pretty gnarly. Very highly crevassed, and I've never traveled through terrain that was that crevassed before, so I definitely knew like I'd have to be on that day if we went through there. And
So we took a backup route. South of Azure Pass, there's a logging road that follows the North Thompson River all the way back to the highway. It would be long, but it would work in pretty much any conditions. There was also a hut that my girlfriend Kat helped us book via Image, and that was nice to have a roof to look forward to.
A lot of snow around this cabin, eh?
I was really impressed with that hut. Great spot, great cabin, and definitely like pretty special to finish whatever day that was. It was like a couple of weeks in or something, and then all of a sudden you show up to this
Fucking nice.
awesome little cabin. It's a really nice way to kind of finish the trip, I guess. And yeah, I would love to go back there.
How much booze do you reckon we drank in all our caches?
Wow. I think we had like 6 to 8 each per cache, and then the Mickeys and stuff. I mean, like, yeah, I guess it was like an inappropriate amount of booze, but I don't know. You're on vacation, you know? At the end of the day, it's like, you're not doing this to go down in the history books or something. Like, you're doing this to have fun.
we definitely drank 24 at Azure Pass, and like wine and whiskey, and it was kind of like the alcoholic ski traverse. The alcoholic ski traverse of the Cariboo Mountains. First ascent.
Helps with the ski TSD.
It did kind of feel like we were done the trip. There was still the 50 kilometers of logging road, but that just didn't feel like an immediate concern. With all of our extra stuff we were packing, we were by no means going quickly, but it's kind of hard to be stressed when you can plant your tent anywhere and pretty much be at home until the food ran out. It did feel like a proper vacation, at least at that point. I guess that is kind of the allure of the mountains. If you're looking for a sufferfest, they can give that to you. If you're looking for a vacation, they can give you that too. The mountains almost reflect back to you what you bring to them. What do you most like about big traverse trips?
So to do longer trips, I guess just feels like you're getting better and improving on your skill set, and I don't know, just being out there for that long is it's a pretty special thing to get to do, to have, you know, that much privilege, I guess, to just be able to disappear into the mountains for several weeks at a time and not give a fuck about anything but skiing is pretty great. It's a sign that you've got a pretty great life.
In those 18 days, we ended up traveling about 170 kilometers with 9,000 meters of up and down. There was, however, the small matter of that one extra cache, which we were not able to get after bailing down the North Thompson. Sitting up at the head of the North Canoe Glacier, that isn't something you can just leave to melt out and become garbage. So then there's the matter of, what do you do to grab the cache? Just flying in and digging it up, flying out seems kind of silly, so why not try to just finish the trip? Eventually it worked out that getting more time off with the boys was not going to be a plan. Eventually it worked out that more time off with the boys was not going to work out. It's not phrase there. Eventually it became obvious that getting more time off with the boys was not going to work out. My girlfriend Kat and her mom Tanya were keen to check out a new area. So we put in another call to Yellowhead to get a drop off. Plan to be dropped off at the cache, and then see a bit of the Premier Range while we navigated back to the highway.
Hi, I'm Katerina. I'm from BC. I now work and live in Jasper. My experience with glaciers is they're absolutely amazing, mind-blowing places or terrifying. Feels like glaciers are color and everything else is grayscale.
First time I've been in Cariboos and it was fun. The terrain was pretty challenging. It was definitely different from the West Coast. It was like maybe smaller features, steeper, glaciers very broken, quite challenging terrain, but beautiful. Yeah, as we were flying in and looking into that whiteout, I frantically started looking at the map, thinking, oh, what do we do here? We're so low. So at least we made him to drop us right at the edge of the whiteout, and then it was just more slog in the whiteout. Compass work. Traveling on glaciers kind of makes you stay on your toes a little more. You have to be more present. It's more challenging. Usually visibility can be worse. There's a lot of whiteouts. And then it's usually beautiful around glaciers. So, yeah, different than any other travels.
It was amazing. Glaciers are just this other world. And for me, they are like incredible and beautiful. And I feel so lucky and privileged to be up there, especially with my mom and Ben. And I love being in the mountains. And the mountains are incredible there. And the silence and the beauty. It's just wow.
Kat and Tanya have very much different eating habits than Josh, Zach, and I, at least as far as those food caches were concerned, and they seemed less than impressed at what culinary options were available in the caches. Did you have any challenges or concerns after we grabbed all the heavy stuff from the cache?
It was more frustrating that I felt like I'm carrying stuff which did not belong in the mountains, like beer cans, because I knew even if we finished goodies, then we still had to carry all the garbage out, and I don't like doing that.
While we were burning the crates, I reckoned it'd be a good idea to catch a peek at what the South Canoe Glacier was looking like. South Canoe would be the only part of the original route that I would not be going through, and I think I'm okay with that. Skiing up that line is one thing. Coming down, especially with a big overnight pack, you're going through some very complex terrain, and often far too quickly. Could be quite spicy.
My mom being there, being interested in going with us was like a key factor for me agreeing to it. As I said, I'm not hugely comfortable on glaciers, just not much experience. And I have this crazy trust in Mom, even though Mom has been definitely the most difficult trips and some of the most terrifying moments in the backcountry have been with Mom. I just like, oh, I'm with my mom. This is safe. It's a good idea.
I like doing stuff with my daughter. So with Kat, we mostly do summer trips, but this was something new, and it was nice to introduce her to a different environment.
So I was really stoked she agreed to do it, and that I got to spend the time with her on it and to learn from her again. And yeah, I was really happy she joined us. I think the most concerning was watching Ben ski down that couloir off Penny Pass in his like 80-pound pack with Christmas tree stuff and a camera around his neck, doing this mega awkward side slip toward the schrund, which I really thought he was going to fall through.
At camp above the McClendon Glacier is one place I really would like to go back to. For ski mountaineering, there are lines pretty much everywhere you look, and all different aspects and steepness too.
I don't think heavy is ever a good thing. Everyone has their balance and their comfort level. You just gotta decide for yourself. There's a difference between going overnight, a week, versus going for 2 months.
Well, fast and light gives you more options. It's safer, right? I'm pretty strong. I can deal with heavy stuff, but why do it difficult when it can be easy? And then I definitely believe that it's safer to the lighter and more agile I am, the more options I have and the safer I am. Oh, that was unexpected, beautiful powder run. And makes me feel good even when I see it on the footage. It was great. Some bad weather was coming. So, and getting to that point was a little bit challenging for a while because we could not see anything. It was a little bit of an inside ping pong ball environment. And it was really cool to get to that spot because the view was amazing. And when the helicopter finally came up, it was like, yay, going to have some ice cream now.
Overall, these 2 trips to the Cariboos were quite different than trips I've done in the past, and very different from each other. I think I align a little more towards the Josh and Zach end of the spectrum compared to Kat and Tanya's style, but both sides do have merit. And I kind of think that holds true with the heli skiers and the snowmobilers that visit the Cariboos as well. Whether you are looking for adrenaline-filled adventure or serene silence, it seems like there is a place for it in those mountains.